So it's mid-November and you join me on the bank at Coking Farm, and I just want to talk you through my top 5 tips for solid bag fishing. So my first tip would be get yourself a modular type bucket. Now, until you have one of these, you don't realise just how handy they are for keeping all of your solid bag bits and pieces in one place. So this one is around 7 litres, and once you take the actual lid off itself, you come across a insert type tray which comes with its own lid as well, so keeping all your little knickknacks, bits and pieces, PVA, pre-made PVA bags, etc. in one place. Now, as you can see inside mine, I've got a handful of PVA bags already made. I've got spare PVA bags, tape, leads, tubing, you name it. So that little tray can be all your bits and pieces that you will need for solid bag fishing, and like I say, it keeps your PVA bags pre-made out the way of the rain and any damp, so that they're not going soggy or melting. And then inside the main bucket compartment, it is crammed full of pellet and my chosen hook baits. So as you can see, everything I need there is in one place. The tray fits inside the main bucket itself, lid goes on top, and that is everything I need to get out on the bank and sling a few solid bags around. Right, so the main content of my solid bags then is the mini pellet mix from Hinders. There's a handful of different bits and pieces in there, nice and small, from 1.5mm up to 3mm, which personally I like. I don't tend to go for any other bigger sort of food items in the bag. Like to try and keep it as small as possible, which will allow me to just build the bag nice and small, nice and compact, nice and tight, which will allow me to cast anything from sort of 10 yards up to 100 yards. So they're nice and small to allow you to build those bags for the perfect little parcel of bait. Now, also in there is salmon fry crumb as well, another little added little bit of attraction. The pellets themselves, they've got different breakdowns, different sort of flavors, smells, attractions, etc. So yeah, the perfect sort of pellet for ultimate pulling power inside your solid bags. Next tip then would be try and take a selection of hook baits. Now, personally myself, I like to use wafters inside my solid bags. I just feel they are the perfect sort of complement to the solid bag contents and literally are the sort of cherry on top of the cake. I don't like pop-ups which, you know, may sit too far above the pellet mix, etc. I like my hook baits just to sit on top or on the edge of the mix and ready for Mr. Carp to come and suck up. So what I tend to do is take a few different pots like so and just basically fill them with different colors. So as you can see there, I've got the seafood in the pink, yellow and brown. I've got the nut 365, so a neutral type color bait, nutty looking bait. And then in this one I've got the beta nanas, and I've also got some fluoro tutti fruities as well. So there I've got a good 6 or 7 options of hook baits across 3 tubs. Now, on any given day, the fish may favor one color, one taste, you know, one smell of hook bait over another. So what we're allowed to do is change your second rod or your third rod to the matching bait that you've just caught on and maximize your bite opportunities. So yeah, if you've got, you know, as we do as carp anglers, 101 different tubs of hook baits, slimline them down to a few tubs, get them in that solid bag bucket, and make sure you give yourself a few different options whilst out on the bank. So then, these perfect little parcels of bait, don't be afraid of recasting them every hour, 2 hours. If you feel like the fish, you know, might be elsewhere within your swim, or you're seeing fish, don't be afraid of reeling in one of those rods, getting a solid bag on the end of it and casting it straight back out to those showing fish. It's exactly what I've done on this session. I've arrived in my swim, I've seen a fish show down to my left hand side. In less than a few minutes, I've stuck one of these on its head, and half an hour later had a nice 27-pounder resting in my net. So you're not leaving masses of bait behind, one little mouthful which will have a real quick breakdown. So don't be afraid of whipping in one of your rods and sticking it straight back out on whatever you see. My last tip then is make sure you dry off all of your solid bag end tackle before you start building your bag. Now, whether that's with a towel, your hoodie or your joggers, just make sure those bits and pieces down at the rig end are bone dry, because the solid bag would have melted before you've even had a chance to cast it out. Now what I also like to do once drying off the end tackle is, as I mentioned earlier, I put an extra serving of salmon fry crumb in there. So before I sort of built the bag itself, I'll just dip the contents of the rig and the lead inside the bucket and just give it a little bit of a sort of shake around amongst the pellet and the powder. Now what that will do is just attach itself to any tiniest little bits of damp that may still be lingering on your leads or your leader, whatever it may be. So yeah, add a little bit more powder to your mix. That will also aid your solid bag not melting on you before you've managed to sling it out in the lake.